William Mendoza is the founder of La Misión por Vida, a nonprofit organization that brings access to clean water in developing countries. He found himself at a crossroads in 2011 after a life-altering event that ultimately led him to his life's purpose. He decided to serve in El Salvador, where the murder rate was at 54 a day, using water as a tool to help bring peace to a country in need of hope. La Misión is now working in 7 countries, having impacted more than 1.5 million people through the Global Water Project. What I love about William is the pure joy and passion that just radiates from him. He's unwavering in his faith and commitment to serving others. And one thing to note is William's faith is profoundly personal and a spiritual journey, and it's not to preach and try to change others. His goal is only to give hope through the power of his story and example. Please help me welcome William Mendoza.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me? All right. It's an honor to be here today. And good morning to everyone. I'm ecstatic to be here in front of you all, and I just hope to radiate love to you all because that's basically what it's about. Rebecca and the entire Creative Mornings team, thank you for all that you do and for this opportunity. Urban Hive, thank you for creating such an amazing space for companies and people to thrive here in Sacramento. And I'm excited to share my story. And how it relates to this month's theme, which is water, and how it became part of my life's purpose. And water, as I used to think of water, was basically I would get up, brush my teeth, take a shower, wash my hands, the standard things that you would do in life habitually. But when I got into serving others in the job that I'm doing now, I realized that water is more than just that. Actually, it's hope, it's opportunity, it's progress, it's education. People are able to fulfill their dreams. Families are able to stay together. Children are able to go to school. Parents are able to go to work and earn money so they can keep a roof over their head and food in their kids' belly. So, I am with the nonprofit organization La Misión por Vida, and we bring access to clean water in developing countries. So I want to start off with a question that has helped me. And before that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my story and how I came to be doing water. And I know the theme is about water, but I'm going to show how it relates to what I'm doing now, from bringing dirty water to clean. So I want to ask you all a question that has helped me along the way. And it is, does your story serve you, or do you serve your story? Are you a slave to your story? Are you a victim, or are you a victor? And let me be clear that your outlook will definitely determine your outcome. I'm going to say that again because it's very important. Your outlook will definitely determine your outcome. Is life happening against me, or is it happening for me? So let me share with you now what I mean through my story, and I hope my story serves you. This is, and when I say my story, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about others. So I will start at the beginning. I grew up in the Mission District of San Francisco, California. And to a large, and I mean large, Irish and Latino family. I went to Catholic school, and I was even an altar boy. This is, sorry. It's my beautiful mother and my beautiful sister as well. And I have a younger brother, 14 years younger than myself, who's not pictured in this photo. But my mother literally did everything to keep a roof over our head and food in our stomach as for my life. And an amazing woman, and she works so hard to this day. And I'm just really honored to be born to her and to my father, too. My father, an amazing heart, an amazing man, but he chose the life of crime, which landed him in prison for many years. And we would end up going to visit him in prison. You can see me, little knucklehead here with the football. These pictures are actually in prison right here. We used to visit him, San Quentin, Folsom, and he did a circuit for a while. In the back picture right there, I'm looking at my parents saying, really? You taking a picture now? Like, we're in jail. Ain't nothing to celebrate. So, but my father he had a beautiful heart, and he helped many people when he was out, and I watched him. He was a heroin dealer, and he was also a user as well. But as I mentioned, he had an amazing heart. He just passed away a few months ago, and I was honored to be born to him too. It was a blessing. My eyes have witnessed a lot as a child, from drug abuse to gangs, and there would be prostitution around us. Death was all around me. And at the age of 9 years old, I had a friend of mine by the name of Leslie James shot in the head and killed. So I'm obviously, through the experience of drugs, that brings upon trauma. And when my best friend Leslie was shot in the head and killed, for me, I didn't know how to process it. By the age of 12 years old, another friend by the name of Aaron Jackson, he was murdered. And I can go on and on about these stories of people that I cared about that went through tragedies like this. I didn't know how to process it all, but I knew I needed hope. And most, not all, most of the men in my family were either on drugs, selling drugs, or in jail. And of course, I had some amazing ones that I would see periodically that would shed light into me. Like Shane, that showed up today. Shane, uncle mine. Sorry, guys. This is emotional for me. So thank you, Shane, for being here. I appreciate it, Marianne and Megan. I didn't want to end up like the rest of the men in my family. I didn't want to end up like that. And I was a great kid from my mother. And I played in between the lines, and I was always respectful as a young kid. But the pain and trauma I experienced in life, I could not figure it out. So at the age of 17 years old, I knew I was out of there. I didn't want to be there anymore. My identity was full of shame because of the actions that my father had taken. You know what? Like, people would always ask, hey, where's your father? And I would say, he's in the military, because he would always be in prison. And we would take, our holiday pictures in San Quentin, and behind a mural. So this was my life, and this is what I thought was normal. This is my normal, which I knew was wrong. So 3 days after high school, I left to Los Angeles by myself. No parental supervision. I'm like, it's on. I don't have to be attached to my family, or actually my father and his decisions. And but I was going to miss, I was going to miss them too. But I wanted to go find myself as the world says to go do, and that's exactly what I did. I wanted to go reinvent myself, and not to hold on to the shame of my past. I didn't have to answer to anyone, and I knew I was going to do whatever it took to find myself. And by the age of 20 years old, I found myself in a position that little did I know that the drug I was about to consume was about to consume me for the next 17 long, hard years. I did amphetamines, and I'm transparent. I'm going to be transparent. It was hard. I hurt a lot of people along the way, made a lot of bad decisions, and I was at the point where I said I would never be exactly like the men in my family. And it was all from a simple decision of just being like, yeah, I wanted to fit in and be cool. That's all it was. I was just trying to be cool and fit in. And that's when my life turned in a direction I could have never have imagined. I cheated on all my girlfriends except for my wife and my last ex. What I thought of a man was that go out, have a good time, sleep around, do your thing. It's all about you. And everything was just about me. That's what I learned, right? And I had gotten in a lot of trouble in Los Angeles and decided it was time to move to Sacramento by the age of 32 and to get away, what they say, right? But obviously I was taking it with me, and I was only running from myself. And during these days, even during these times of addiction, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I ran a few companies, and the money fueled my addiction. And I should literally be dead today. And that's why I'm probably so emotional, because every day is a gift for me. And to be here in front of you all, like, I'm honored. I'm literally honored. Like, I'm just grateful to be here. And I'm alive, and I know that God had a purpose for me. At the age of 37, my ex-fiance called off our wedding just 3 days prior to the wedding. And I was like, this is life. But then the day I was supposed to get married, I went with an uncle of mine, and we went to go to Fountains in Roseville, California. And where Zocalo's is right now, it used to be a different restaurant. And there's a big outdoor patio, and it was packed. And we got a few drinks, hung out, and next thing you know, we ended up getting in not a scuffle, but kind of words with some gentlemen, and they were with their wives or girlfriends. And I went outside, and I was about to smoke a cigarette, and they came up to me. And I knew it was on, and for me, my attitude back in the day is, let's do this, you know. And I hit somebody, I got hit, and then I pulled out a knife, and I put it to the guy's neck. And I remember it was such slow motion, and I'm like, and while I was doing that, I could see his girlfriend or wife that was pregnant. And for me, he turned white, and I was just like, it was like a dream for me, because that wasn't truly my personality, but I happened to have a knife on me, and I was like, you guys better step off, it's about to be on. And that was my personality back in the day. And obviously I got arrested, and I woke up in jail to a question, and it literally took my breath away. It was, and for 2 minutes, it would seem like forever, I thought I had taken the lives of two people. I literally thought I took the lives of two people. And I thought for those 2 minutes, I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life. So this is running through my mind. And I was like, how did I get here? I come from a great family. Yes, the men may have screwed up, but my core, the women in my family are amazing, hard, amazing women. And I had a great heart. I knew my core, my soul was good. But I ended up this way because I didn't know who I was as a man. And I decided to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I'm not here to be all religious, but I'm telling you, that's the best decision I ever made in my entire life. From that point forward, I knew that I had to chase Him because I didn't know who I was. So I started doing everything possible. I got bailed out by my mother, and I was literally doing everything I can to get to know Him, to get to know His true core. And a month later, I had an amazing miracle happen where I became sober. I've been sober 7.5 years to this day. It was through an amazing miracle. And I wasn't going to share it, but I'm going to share it now, if that's okay. I was actually on the dance floor at a friend of mine's birthday party. He rented out a club, and we're doing our thing. We're doing our thing on the dance floor, and then Outkast was playing. One of my favorite groups, Outkast, was playing, and the song was AT Aliens. And I'm like, okay, we're doing our thing. I'm dancing with my friend's wife, and I felt the Spirit of God fall upon me, and I'm like, what's going on? And then it impressed on me to listen to the words that are about to play, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. I can't tell her because she's going to think I'm really crazy. And the words go like this. Softly, as I play piano in the dark, gotta find a way to channel my anger, not to embark. The world's a stage and everybody's got to play their part. So when God starts speaking, we be so sincere with this here. No drugs or alcohol, so I can get the signal clear as day. I was like, oh my goodness, I think He's telling me to stop drinking. and I had stopped using drugs like a few weeks before, and I'm like, can we deal with this later? And I went back to the bar, and I got 2 more drinks, and I'm like, I was still trying to do my thing, but I'm like, I think He's telling me to stop drinking. So I better get my drink on because I might be stopping soon. While I take a drink. And the night ended, we went back to a hotel, And then at the hotel, I started looking up the lyrics. I'm like, wait a minute, he is telling me. I drive back to Sacramento. I was in San Mateo. I drive back to Sacramento. I was living at Rockland at the time. And then I grabbed some clothes to go to yoga. I was like going to yoga, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to sweat this out. And I get to the 65 freeway in Rockland by the Galleria, and there's 3 crosses to the left and at Destiny Church. And I start negotiating with God. I'm like, God, I can give you about a month or 2. You know, how long do you want me to stop? He turns my head to the right, and I had a shirt that said sober. I was in rehab years ago, and as I said, I was an entrepreneur. I was always trying to make money. I made shirts that say sober is dope. and I would sell them to everybody in rehab. And I was like, you know what? Going once, going twice, you know. And everybody's walking around with sober is dope, and I'm like cashing my, you know. So the only part showing was sober on the shirt. And I'm like, oh my, this is God. The experience that I knew of God was when you talk to God, you're religious, and when he talks to you, you're psychotic. That's what I experienced, you know. But I started to know him, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's guiding me. So he started guiding me. So that was my miracle. So I started knowing God further and further. And I knew that my pain was not going to be in vain, that I knew that something was going on, that if I was going to be freed from addiction and everything, that I had a responsibility now. And here's my responsibility. So I asked God, I said, do me a favor and send me to the belly of the beast. So he started giving me supernatural signs. And obviously the belly of the beast at this time was El Salvador, the country where my father is from. And to work with the world's most dangerous gangs, MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha, and Barrio 18, which is their rival gang. The murder rate was about 54 a day, if not higher. And there was talks about a truce about to go on. And I knew this is the perfect time for me. I always had these grandiose ideas. Let's do it, God. I'm going to go in between. Who am I? What am I going to bring, right? Yeah, he just got sober, you know. He caught a case. You're going to bring a case with you, right? So I thought about it, and I'm like, what am I going to bring to help serve people? And prayed about it, thought about it, and water. I was like, I researched El Salvador, what they needed. I knew that, you know, they needed peace. But how can I come in contact more with the gentleman in front of me? And it was water. Water was the tool to get to them to bring hope, because I experienced hope. I'm like, if God can take me out of this position, he can do anybody. And that's why I was like, bring me. And he brought me. So I began researching El Salvador, and I realized the major issue was water and gangs. So I planned to implement a water project in every community that they put a truce, as well as prisons, schools, orphanages, and clinics, and wherever else they needed it. So I'm like, I think we're gonna call the project Agua para la Paz, which is water for peace. And this is me in one of the jails with a young man who had just an amazing heart. He actually asked me, can I carry your backpack? And I felt the love and hope in him just for asking me to carry his backpack. And for me, that's a special picture. We landed in El Salvador. I got called some friends, and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is what I'm going to be doing, and got some things taken care of. So I landed in El Salvador, and the very next day, I meet with the government to get permission to go inside of the prisons. And they ended up going for what I was thinking, and they allowed us in to do a water project. And not only did we need permission to go inside the prisons, we needed permission to go inside the communities with the gangs. This is a small area in Apopa that they were putting a truce on, and where the gang warfare here was just insane. And they came, and they were being a part of the truce. They turned in their weapons, some of the weapons, of course, not all of them. And this was a big deal because the murder rate started dropping. Our first project in the prisons were at Casa de Mujeres, and it's filled with thousands of women and children under the age of 5 with their mothers. As you can see, the dirty water at the bottom wasn't great for health. And seeing it firsthand was different than seeing it on the picture. Here is another photo of the water that the women and children were drinking and using to take showers, washing dishes, and other activities. They would filter it with their T-shirts as well as towels and put it in 2-liter bottles and leave it out in the sun. These diseases that with the water would have would hepatitis A, cholera, E. coli, and many more. As you can see, these women, they would hold these water bottles next to them and leave them outside. And when I walked through this prison, I'm like, oh my, it was just about water. It was literally just about water. And there would be hundreds of women just lining up, just waiting for their turn to fill up bottles. So here are a few examples of what the women were experiencing with the bacteria and parasites from all the dirty water. And dirty water was definitely the problem. But I wanted to be the bridge to the solution. It's not like the technology was not out there. And that's what we did. So here's a sample of one of our solutions is a water filter. Simple water filter the size of your palm, filters out 500 gallons a day, and lasts over 10 years, depending how you maintain it. And it cleans out 99.99% of all parasites and metals. A simple solution to a deadly problem. So we started installing these throughout the prisons and began working on new projects. We had other types of solutions. Rainwater catchment systems, plumbing. And while we were working inside there, obviously, we have prisons that were just 5,000 gang members deep, and they were respectful, super respectful, and helped out. We're always willing to help out. Here's in another prison with MS-13, and we're putting together. You can see the gentleman on the right there, right? They have. There's a reason that they're covering their face. There's definitely a reason, and so we would bring big barrels and put barrels on big barrel and put basically filters on each side so people can come up 4 at a time and get access to clean water. So we started working in communities as well, and I started realizing, like, wow, this is actually making a difference, And I started finding myself in the service of others. They say hell is when you die and you meet the man or woman you were supposed to be. And I started realizing, like, no, I want to be that man. I don't want to meet him when I die. So I started investing more time and resources into these projects. So after one of the projects, we exited and we're on the road, and I see this lady pulling water out of the concrete. So we're driving past her, and she's right there pulling water out of the road. And for me, this was a moment. This was a moment that I knew I had to keep pushing forward to help those in need. And her children were standing by waiting for her to pull this water out. And I could just imagine my mother doing that. 1 in 10 people lack access to clean water around the world. And every 2 minutes, a child dies every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes. So with me being up here maybe 20 minutes or longer, there'll be 10, 11 children dying by the time I finish. And these are young children that they would hold their water in these barrels right here outside, mosquitoes, everything. Larva. And we've been lucky enough to partner with companies like Compassion International, Whole Foods, 21 Drops, Yoga Journal, from my yoga peeps, Harmless Harvest, and so forth. Now we're working in 7 countries, and recently Sri Lanka, and we've helped about 200,000 people in Sri Lanka. And it's funny to see La Mission in Sri Lanka, La Mission in Sri Lanka. But we've helped over 1.5 million people with access to clean water. Here is a shot in Cambodia during training. And it's funny. I was literally addicted every day doing drugs, and now I'm traveling the world serving others. The click was, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about who can we serve with our time. Of course we have to make money and, pay the bills. But life truly made sense when I knew it wasn't about me. It wasn't poor me. It wasn't I was the victim. It was like, I'm victorious. I'm walking. It didn't matter what happened to me. I knew I was going to get through it. If I got through what I went through, I knew I can get through anything. And that's why I encourage you to truly start serving. If you're not already, to start serving, because you will truly find yourself. That's actually where I met God, is serving people. I was really meeting him there. Here's another photo in Kenya with women that were battling AIDS. And we had the opportunity to serve them as well. And I don't know. It's a blessing to be up here with you all. And just honored that I'm able to have an opportunity to speak here with you all. And here's a little video that I'm going to play. And it'll show how we kind of implement projects. So thank you all for your time. And if you would like to get involved with our organization, you can reach out to us online. You could join us on a project, or you can give through our organization or purchase a filter for $50 and take it on a project yourself. So thank you all for your time.